Ladies, gentlemen, guys, and gals, welcome to the Shining Spotlight, another episode with your hosts, Nico, Cloud9, aka Irvin,
What's up?
and Glyph Award winning creator, cartoonist, illustrator, master of cuteness, Shauna J. Grant.
Hi.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on today. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Absolutely, no problem.
Oh, yes. So I have to ask because, of course, seeing your work, you're definitely like, I would say, someone, with having like the magic, like kind of like having a comic or a web comic that's more in the magical girl genre. I feel like you have to be a big inspiration for people, like on the Western side of the world, when it comes to the whole magical girl genre. And of course, looking at, how you kind of, made your start, in terms of, on the convention circuit. So can you tell people a little bit about Princess Love Pon? Like a little bit about the story for those who may not be familiar with it.
Yeah. Princess Love Pon is my magical girl webcomic. She fights with hearts and kisses. And the story is about a young girl named Leah who is in high school, kind of thinking about her future, but also kind of like, man, I don't know what I want to do as an adult. And luckily for her, she literally gets hit in the head with her magical mascot who's like, you can become the envoy of love, Princess Love Pon. And she's like, heck yeah, I'll be a magical girl. That's totally like way easier than, real life, right? And so she becomes the protector of people's hearts and saves them from being devoured by the Dark Queen who wants to eat your, depressed feelings. And what was very important for me in doing this comic was showing that you could be strong with the use of empathy rather than, brute force. So Princess Love Pon uses her words to help people through their emotional distress. And she, again, literally like fights monsters with kisses and hearts. And yeah.
No, definitely.
And it's funny you mentioned, she just gets bonked on the head, and it's kind of how the whole thing starts. So when I was checking out the story, I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, she didn't even question the powers bestowed to her. She was just like, "Hey, let's roll with it."
I know. I thought that same thing too going through it. I'm like, wow, okay. We're just going through, these steps. It's not really, it's not like in the same fashion where a lot of stories you have like this whole like let me test the powers, and all that. She's pretty much just, just there.
Yeah. Yeah, like for Leah, it wasn't like something unknown to her because she kind of was already obsessed with magical girls. Like her favorite is Astro Bunny. So she's like, yes, I want this.
But let me see. We did get a couple comments in.
Ooh.
Marcel Gray, yes, more black magic girls. She's some emojis there coming out. Jeffrey Lilly, another great creator on the show tonight. Yes, indeed.
All right, so I want to jump into some real stuff when it comes down to how this concept came about with Princess Love Pon, right? So, of course, looking at the story, right? Someone will think, okay, it's magical girl. They may not really know much outside of, like, let's say, for example, Sailor Moon. And I know Sailor Moon was a massive influence for you, at least, in terms of wanting to get interested in creating comics like, professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know what was the creative process when you actually came up with the full concept for Princess Love Pon?
Okay. I want to say I put a lot of thought into this, but like honestly, like after I started it, I was like, man, I probably should have planned a little more. But basically, It came down to me wanting to make a webcomic because I went to the School of Visual Arts for cartooning. So that's what I got my BFA in. And then after that, me and my friends were like, hey, we have no jobs. Let's do anime conventions. So I, did like prints like you see behind me for several years after that. And it was like, I really should draw comics because I want to get into publishing comics and stuff. So the best way to do that, and what I will always tell anybody who wants to get into comics, the best way is to just draw a comic. So I went to start a webcomic, and I was kind of stuck between doing a superhero comic, which I don't know if some people would see me and be like, what, really? But yeah, it was either that or draw something like really, really cute and shoujo and romancy, because I was like, I really like drawing cute girls. So,
Wait, so if you were going to do like the superhero concept, like what was the idea that you were going to do with that in Princess Love Pon? Or were you weren't really all the way there with that yet in terms of the whole idea?
I did have an idea. It was actually going to be a comic that I used to draw in college called O Panda. And it was very much like a comedy superhero spoof comic because I grew up watching like Justice League and Batman and everything. So I loved it, but also like, come on, superhero stuff is also like hella ridiculous. But so it was about a crime fighting panda with a cape who did not talk. He just said raw, but he was very deep and poetic. Like his words had meaning to them. And his sidekick was Cheer Girl, who was a cheerleader, and she was kind of like jaded about the whole thing because she really wanted to make a difference in the world, but she was the sidekick to a giant panda, and nobody that they helped really, gave much of a hoot that they're doing all this work. So she's like, man, like this really sucks, like, but Panda's like, raw. It's like, fine, like, yes, justice, okay, whatever. And they would just fight like these really weird, ridiculous monsters and characters and stuff. And like, one of my favorite characters was this girl named Bebe. And her theme was she loved to date everybody. She's like, you know what? You're a nice person. I'm going to give you a chance. Let's go out. Let's have dinner. But everybody she dated ended up being like evil or a monster or something. She just had terrible taste. So she was like the damsel in distress who really wasn't like that distressed about it. And it was just like, I just wanted to do something like just fun to like just make fun of superhero tropes and everything. And but I decided I wanted to do something like really cute and shoujo and romancy. So I was like, well, let me make like a magical girl story because I really like magical girls. And I just started doodling, designs for Love Pon, and like the inspiration for it kind of came out of like different things, like a lot of imagery and also like my own feelings, like I do tackle issues with like anxiety and depression. And when you're in those dark moods, sometimes you're like, man, like, wouldn't it be great if I could just temporarily take out my heart and not feel anything right now? And so that kind of is where I got the concept for like the Dark Queen wanting to eat people's hearts. And so like literally like they lose their hearts when they're like really overcome with like depression and stuff. And Love Pon's job is to help them through that. So, they're not depressed anymore, and, they find the strength to work through it and not get their hearts eaten and, fall into forever coma.
Yeah, I even noticed like even in, what was it, chapter 2, like it focused on like the fear of rejection. And
Yes.
I think that's something probably everybody can identify with, being like kind of scared of that, the whole thing where you're like, you do want to just like shut down, like one of the characters, shut down, and Leah had to, go ahead and like rescue her to kind of, save her, so that she could actually, have the courage, to, make that step. But in any case, I think we have a few more questions that have rolled through. It's the next. Another great creator on the show tonight. Sailor Moon is a cult, and I am a proud follower.
She is my Lord and Savior.
All right. We have absolutely 90% of the game is getting your work out there. Don't be afraid. Create. Okay, next one. The cultural collision and mixing is always fascinating. The more mixing, the sweeter and more interesting the cake is. All right. Marcel Gray, that is something that I admired the most about Sailor Moon, how conveyed their emotions, their day-to-day lives. I've always wanted to see someone like me in that anime.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And you're also, if I saw correctly, like a fan of Steven Universe.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Steven Universe. I like to call Rebecca Sugar like my distant senpai because I think she also attended my college. Like a lot of people attended my college, but I love like this new boom of cartoons that are being made by anime geeks and just seeing like all the references, like when they just threw up like the Utena like imagery, and I'm just like, yes, thank you. And,
I don't know if many others checked out that series, but Utena was definitely something that I didn't even know about until I was introduced to it on Comcast On Demand back in the day.
Oh.
Yeah, so I knew nothing about it, and next thing I know, it's got this whole fan base behind it and everything. I'm like, I just thought it was like something I found on the corner of a hole, and I was like, that's pretty good.
Oh wow. Yeah, I first saw the manga of it in the Amerimanga magazine that they used to publish back in the day. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is so pretty. And then I watched the anime and I was like, this is so like weird, but so good. And then you watch the movie of it and it's like, okay. But it's really great, and it's another just also magical girl anime, and I love magical girls.
I have to ask, have you ever actually read or watched Wedding Peach?
Yes. Of course.
I had to ask. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm like,
I don't think I ever finished it, but I did used to watch some of the episodes when they were on the Anime Network, I think it was.
Okay. I have a few things to say about it. I don't want to say it on here. Not anything bad. It's actually some good stuff, But in any case, moving on, I do want to ask, who are actually your influences in terms of your, not just your style, but even like with, in art, but in writing?
That's a hard question. Like I read so much, but let me see. I feel like I want to go back down into like like memory lane. Like I know when I was young, I was obsessed with the artist Koge Dambo, who did like the designs for Jijikara. And one of my favorite manga at the time was her Pitaten series, which I was really into, really obsessed with. Like looking at photos, I'm really embarrassed now. I'm like, Mom, why did you not stop the weeaboo in me? Like, what are you gonna let me do? Like I used to, like the main character in it, Misha, had like these little bunny things on her head, and I bought a headband that matched. So it was like her cosplay headband, and I wore that like into college. Like people knew me as like the bunny ear girl, and I'm just like, damn, that was deep. So like that definitely like kind of like influenced like my eyes, the way I draw eyes. Like I draw like big, I like to call it like the big googly eyes. And then as I got older and into college, I kind of wanted to take on like more of a American style. Like a lot of my classmates had like that indie cartoonist style going on, and if you read indie comics, you probably know what I'm talking about. So it's just ended up going into like this marriage of anime and like Western cartooniness, and I'm still like I have answers, but my mind is like going blank because I just like so many different things. So I'm like, wow, I really like this art. Okay.
Oh, no, trust me, I get it. When you're a really big fan of something, it's like This guy
Yeah.
gets on me all the time about that. Like,
But there is artist, a webcomic artist, Amanda Lefrez. I hope I'm saying their name right. They they she does this webcomic called Love Me Nice, which is like if you like Roger Rabbit, like that's basically kind of like her story, but like a more mature take up on it. And I always really liked her inking and the way that she does her screen tones. Like she's such a sweet artist too. So that was like a big influence on my comic work. I do like to use the whole screen tones and stuff in my comic work now. I like to keep things like really simple for most of it. That's why Princess Love Pon is like just pink because I was like, I don't want to do a full color. Of course, now I'm doing full color stuff, and I'm like, oh no, this I know why I didn't want to do this. But I love art that's just like really like poppy and really nice inking. I really admire like gorgeous inking and everything. There's another artist called Minnie Kim. She is a French artist, and I feel like, what's her series called that was published here? I think it's called Nola something Nola, but it was like a 3-book series. I saw it at SPX one year and just bought them all, and it's so colorful. And she kind of has like this sort of anime influence into her, which I think French art does have like a lot of anime influence to it. Like there's a lot of anime there, and it's really colorful, but also like kind of like this rubber hose sort of anatomy, and it's like it's really really cool. So those are some artists that I really really like.
no, definitely. Yeah, in terms of like artists and writers or whatnot, like I just think that really like I wish that you had a lot of more creators that drew as much inspiration as that you drew, because I don't know, like I feel like a lot of people in specifically the OEL community, like original English language, like manga community, everybody just looks at like the top guys. They don't draw inspiration from all around. Like, and I know a lot of the creators you were mentioning, there's a wide spread of them. So I'm definitely glad to hear that, that I'm like, and I'm not even surprised, seeing as, how acclaimed your work is, that, you have such a variety of influence, that's made you into what you are today.
Yeah, it's definitely like taken a long time for me to figure out like what works for me and my art. Like I grew up wanting to draw like gorgeous, beautiful, like anime looking art, like like I said, I was like, oh, I really love Koge Dambo, and then more artists that my mind is blanking out on, but like comic, no, Full Moon, the artist of Full Moon Sakashite, like her art is so beautiful. And then of course, the artist of Sailor Moon, like her art is like her watercolor work is just like wow. But like me and thin lines don't get along. And I learned that, and so I had to like shift my art to where it felt like comfortable for me, like it just like made sense for me. And so I'm still like messing around with it every so often. I'm like, I hate how I draw eyes. I'm gonna draw different eyes. Let's like
really now, like you don't like. No, I don't know. Like I mean, they all kind of have like that. I mean, obviously that cute feel to it, but I mean, I can't really tell. I mean, unless this is just when you're talking about in your drafting stage and you end up changing it after the fact, or
it's like a every couple months sort of thing where I'm like let's try to tweak my art, and then I'll look for inspiration, and like I'm like, oh man, this artist draws like really cool stuff. I'm gonna like try to draw like them and figure out like what are you doing, and then eventually like it shifts back to like how I draw, but a little bit different. So sometimes it's nice to just try something different and see how you like it and see what you can take from that into your art.
No, really quickly, Nico, do we have any pictures of like Princess Love Pon or anything like that that you can pull up? I mean, because I'm trying to think. I don't think we've thrown anything up yet. I mean, I like that particular like drawing right there. I really love that one, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of it I love.
Page to work on.
Say what?
That was a fun page to work on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know. It's just like the way that the line, the I'm gonna say like the outlines of the characters or whatnot. Like they have really nice. Like I can tell like they have a nice silhouette. If you were to actually just kind of like blacken the whole thing out, you can already kind of see they're identifiable. Or I should say, in this case, Leah's really identifiable. As a
Yeah.
character. Um,
You like I
but
feel it makes me feel good. That stuff is like really important. I don't know if I ever consciously worry about it, but it works out in the end, I guess.
So could you well, I guess we'll first get a couple of these comments in. Jeffrey Lilly, oh sure. When I wear bunny ears in public, they just throw me out of the Olive Garden. And Ray Hama, you're beautiful, my lady. Hashtag anime for life. Good stuff, Ray. So tell us a little bit more about kind of the creative process with the series, because one of the things I'm curious about is well, one, I know you've done other works besides Princess Love Pon. You already mentioned one of them was All Panda, and I believe it's fully titled Thief in the Night.
Yeah, that's one of the short stories that I did in college. I'm trying to, was that one of my senior projects, maybe? Yeah, but I have other ones too. I just haven't.
Yeah,
I'm really bad with my website.
no, no, you're right, because I mean you know quite a bit on there actually. It was like My Cute Girl, Father's Child, what was it, Crybaby, Raindrops, Lost.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, she's got a whole roster here.
That's not even like,
Well,
oh my power.
really no.
No, I've done a lot of stuff. I have done
Adventure Time.
Yes, I've done covers for Adventure Time. I probably could have done like interior pages if anxiety wasn't like, oh no, are they sure they want me to do like a test for this? Oh my god! But I did do the covers. I've done there's an anthology series called Dirty Diamonds, which is an all girl anthology book, and every year they had like a different theme. So I was in, I think, 3 or 4 of them, I think, and maybe 4. Oh my goodness! So I've been published there, and that was kind of like my first I feel like the first real place like my actual like comic work was published in. So it was like really great. And the women who work on that series was like they're so sweet, so amazing. Like everybody in those books are like totally amazing. I've also been published in the Secret Loves of Geeks, which was published through Dark Horse Comics. So there's actually one year at Comic-Con that I was at a Dark Horse Comics table doing signings, and I was like, who am I right now? I'm totally feeling myself. I've been inside the art book Black Comics Returns, which was a really great honor because I remember seeing the original book for that in college. And if you haven't heard of Black Comics, it's an art book that is full of all Black artists.
Yes,
And
I'm familiar with it.
I don't know how many books are out there that have that. So when I saw it, I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. Like, I hope I can be in a book like this one day. And then one day, John Jenkins, he emailed me and he was like, hey, we're doing a sequel to Black Comics. Would you be interested? And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I got in there. I also have like a little
There's an encyclopedia of Black comics as well.
Yes, by Dr. Sheena Howard. And now I have like 4 different graphic novels that I'm working on with First, Second, and Scholastic, who are both
Yes,
like
that's all
two
about
publishers of mine. So I'm just like, man, I don't know how I'm doing all of this, but this is pretty cool.
So actually, take me through that day when you actually found out that you were going to be doing that. Like you got that deal with Scholastic, working with to do Mimi and I can't even say it. Mimi and Penelope.
Yeah. So Scholastic was really interesting because like I've pitched to other publishers before. Like I got my first book deals are with First Second. Which was like really cool. I think the article mentioned one of them was just about Rosa Parks and Claudette Colvin that I'm currently trying to like finish up. And I was reached out by an editor. He was like, "Hey, would you like be interested in doing a test for this?" I work with First Second, and I'm like, I love First Second. Like, if you tell me ask me like, what's my favorite graphic novel publisher? It's First Second. I love their books so much. So I was like, yeah. And then when I was at Block Comic Book Festival at the Schomburg in Harlem, I actually met another editor from First Second, and she came to me 2 years in a row, actually. One year it was like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing middle grade comics?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Here's my card. Let's be in touch." And I'm like, "I'm not worthy." And then the next year she's like, "Hey, let's do lunch." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I guess I can't run away from that." And so I ended up pitching a memoir that I'm like currently like writing and just, I don't know how I'm managing my time right now, but it's happening. And then so it was kind of like not too hands-on, but also kind of hands-on. Like it was just kind of like, okay, I guess this is how pitching comics work. So with Scholastic, it was like I had an agent finally who I met at an anime convention of all places. She's like, "Hey, are you looking for representation?" And I'm like, "Yes, I need it." Luckily, we clicked, and I was like, "Hey, I don't want to work at Target. I need a book. I need more money. Like, I'm struggling. Like, let's figure something out. I want to do a board book. I want to do like a cute, simple picture book that I can pump out and get paid so I can finish my other books." And she's like, "Let's do it." And we did it. And she sent it to her editor friends to get feedback. And it was like, board books are expensive. You're not going to pitch a board book. Like, no one's going to do that. You have to do a picture book. And I'm like, dang, I don't know if I have the time for that. But luckily, one of her, someone that she used to work with, who's still at Scholastic, because my agent used to be an editor at Scholastic, he was like, "Shauna, I need to work with her. I've been wanting to work with her for years, and so let's talk." And we talked about it, and he was like, "You should make this into a graphic novel for kids." And I'm like, "Okay." And so, my editors at Scholastic actually worked really close with me to develop my pitch for this, because they're like, "We really want to work with you, and we don't want anyone to say no at acquisitions. We're going to get this out perfect." And so it was like several months, just going back and forth over story ideas and getting the outline like really, really tight. And then I drew all the art, and they were like, "Well, I don't know about this. Like, what about tweaking the story?" And I'm like, "Okay." I drew more art. And then finally, like in the summertime, like I was like, "I think it's done. I think I'm ready." And they're like, "Yeah, let's take this to acquisitions." And then I'm just like, well, after all of that, I guess it would get picked up. But what if it doesn't and I'm still poor? But luckily, like it got picked up.
How long did it take, like, to like find out? Like, what was the time period?
Let's see. I think it went to acquisitions, or I handed it to my editors in like September, like around Labor Day. So I had to wait, for like the vacation to go by. And then with Scholastic, since they work with like with the schools and book clubs, they kind of shop it around there first to get support, and then they bring it to acquisitions. And if you don't know what acquisitions is, it's basically like a meeting where all the editors and people, they get together and they're like, "Look at all these stories, guys. Like, what do you think about this? Like, what should we publish?" And so, they're like, "Oh, this story's nice. Let's like publish it." So I think I got news back in October. I'm pretty sure, like by the end of October, I heard back, and they sent this lovely little package, and I'm like, "Wow, this is, Scholastic, okay." And I feel like it's just like recently that it's like really sinking in. Like, okay, I'm working with First Second. That was like my dream publisher. That was like my goal. But now I'm working with Scholastic, which was not even on my radar. Like I just never imagined that I would do that. And so I'm just like, wow.
But sometimes
Oh,
unexpected things in a great way happen. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Next thing
yeah.
I'm like, that is really crazy. And it seems like it all happened like somewhat quick. Like one after another.
It was like really, it was really, yeah, it was really quick. Like, like, but I'm like really grateful that everybody like really enjoys my art, and even with my other publisher at First Second, like my editors are so supportive of me, like I've had like
Well, it sounds like
Tracy.
if they're like helping you, even you said with even like making sure that you had the correct pitch, for it.
Yeah,
So
and like even when it like came to being like, like stuff is happening in my life, I'm really depressed. I can't touch my bookwork anymore. Like I've had my editor be like, you know what, don't touch it for a few months. It's okay. We'll come back to it. And I'm just like,
it's like your heart leaves your body.
yeah,
Like I don't know, I had to make a reference. Like I'm not even gonna lie. I know that was like cheesy as all get out, but I was like I had to. But
yeah. It's just, because you want to make a good impression and make sure that, if people hear your name, behind the scenes, they're like, oh, Shauna, she's good to work with. She does good art. So I'm just very, very grateful that so far, like everybody I have been working with has been, so welcoming and supportive. So, yeah.
really quick, because we're at the halfway point of the interview for right now. I just want to say, if you are just joining this interview, just to give you guys a heads up, we are talking to Shauna J. Grant, the Glyph Award winning artist. She is known for Princess Love Pon, which is a webcomic series, but she's also done many other works as well. So, of course, there's links down below to her work if you're not familiar with her, but many of you probably are. So, of course, if you are, then, keep on watching. Throw your comments in the comment section below. And if you're new to Shining Otaku, go ahead and give this video a like so it can spread the word on this video as well so that everyone can get involved with this video and check it out and subscribe as well. Anyway, let's continue. All right, and let's see here. Do we have another comment here? All right. Ray Hama, y'all are awesome for doing this project. 100, 100, fire, fire. Yeah, I know that was literal. I just wanted to say that. All right. Jeffrey Lilly. The Scholastic route is one I'd never considered. Great job exploring that avenue to getting published.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, I'm curious, and this is going to be like way out in left field, but I'm like, I have to ask, because I ask almost everybody this, right? Do you have any rivals? I know it's like the weirdest thing to ask, especially when you're like, well, this like my comics are about love and everything, but it's like, but I just have to know. I have to know. Do you have any rivals when it comes down to, in a good way, like, or even I'll put it this way to you: do you have anybody who you guys creatively push each other?
Yeah.
Friends or in the industry?
Friends. I wouldn't call her like a rival. I don't want to like call anybody like a rival, especially being a Black woman in like the art industry. I feel like we all just kind of like look out for each other, But I do have one of my best friends from high school is Yesenia Moses. And we like to joke to each other that we survived our high school because it was ghetto as all hell. It's supposed to be an art school, but it's New York City public school magnet. Blah blah blah. No. But she is a twice published children's book artist now, and yeah, and she works really, really hard. I admire her so much. Her art is amazing. Her new book, Stella's Stellar Hair Day, just came out, and she's working with some big names in the future. And I'm just so excited and proud of her. And she, checks in on me and cheers me on, which is great. I sometimes I'm just like, dang, like I don't know if I'm doing enough. Like my books aren't out yet. I'm so slow. But yeah, I love her, and there's like a lot of people in the industry that I really, really admire. I mean, there's like Steens who has their graphic novel, Archival. Wow, why is everything blanking out in me? But if you, her name's really simple, Steens, like look her up, look them up, and they're really, really great. And then you have like people like Jackie from Adorned by Chi, who's like my idol when it comes to like having a brand. And like as soon as I can lessen my plate, that's like my next goal is to start my own brand and have like cute merchandise and stop hiding at home when people are like, I want to buy stuff from you. And I'm like, I don't want to handle this. But yeah, and she also has like a magical girl comic. And she's like, yeah, you inspired me to do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, no rivals, just like lots of people that I admire.
That one thing I did notice. I didn't notice the shop was down on the site.
Down, but if people like bug me through email enough, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I'll ship that out for you, no problem.
Sure, now they can just go to Scholastic, when it comes to her work, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's why I'm with a publisher. Like they'll handle all that stuff, and I can just hide at home.
Big time. You're gonna be like, who are you guys again? No, I'm messing with you, but yeah, I'm like, oh my goodness. Let's see here. Okay, I think we had a couple more comments come through. All right, Jeffrey Lilly. Oh wow, the Hearts and Kisses fights that are spring out of those rivalries are intense.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here. LMAO. All right, I'm talking about Hearts and Sparks fallout for a 5-mile radius. Everyone walking around feeling all good or feeling good all day. All right, Marcel Gray. Yes, adored by Chi.
So good.
All right. Let's see here. Okay. So, I'm also curious about this as well. When it comes to like I would say like the convention scene. Obviously, that's not going on too much now because you have COVID and that sort of thing. And I'm pretty sure everybody's tired of talking about COVID at this point. But with this new year coming up, what are your plans in terms of, I guess you could say, fan interaction? Are you basically just going to be, putting out your comics, on, via through Scholastic online, or what are we expecting to see in terms of I would say, your circuit, even if it's online, if you get what I'm trying to say.
So once the world is safe again, hopefully one day, my plan is, let's see, I want to travel like what's reasonable, like a reasonable amount, like I did conventions for almost 7 years after college. And it got to the point where it's like, yeah, this is really good money, but also it's like really tiring to like fly to Texas one weekend, fly home, and fly to Chicago next weekend, fly home, and then fly to Georgia the next weekend, like 3 weeks in a row, and praying that you don't get stranded for 3 days which happened once. So I decided to kind of like not really retire, but to just step back, which I wanted, to just rest.
That makes sense. Makes perfect sense in this situation.
Yeah, and now I have my little dog at home, and I'm just like, dang, how do I leave you? But I do want to continue to do, some conventions. I really like MomoCon in Georgia. I love going to Georgia. I love going to the Waffle House in Georgia. So I would probably go to there. And then New York City does have like a few conventions, like Anime NYC, and there's FlameCon, and then of course the Black Comic Book Fest in Schaumburg, so those I would have no problem going to. But if I had, the time and someone can watch my dog, I would love to like travel for like book signings and readings and stuff, because it's fun. So it's something that I don't want to like permanently close off, but definitely not something that I want to do like 13, 15 times a year.
So do you miss like the convention scene at all, or nah?
I miss my friends. Most of my friends were like convention friends, so I haven't seen them for a long time, especially with COVID. So I miss that. Like that was really fun. But I do miss like interacting with people. I had a really cute setup, and it's nice to meet people at conventions. And even though I'm like really terrible at announcing when I'm going to be at a convention, but people are really good at finding me anyway, probably because I'm so pink. And I've had like a lot of really great positive feedback at cons. Like I've had people in tears at my table just being like, thank you for making Love Pon. And I'm like, I don't want to make you cry, but I'll appreciate your love that you're giving me. And I just, I never expected something like that to like happen. So I'm really grateful that I was able to pursue it. Thank you, Mom, for not beating my butt, for not being a doctor or something, and letting me just like screw around and be like, yeah, I guess I'll go to like this convention. I don't make a lot of money, but next year I'm making more. And it happens. Like if you're getting into conventions, like it's definitely like you're gonna suck at it at first. Like, oh, not to discourage you or anything. It's gonna hurt, the first couple of conventions. But once you figure out, what's your niche, and how to really do your setup and, everything, like it starts to come together, and each convention sales go better. You get into the swing of things, and it's really fun. It is.
Wow. So, kind of reeling a bit back to a few things I noticed in the story. It was something I was curious about. Was wondering if it was like personal interests of yours. Obviously, you're into the magical girl scene, and you're probably a bubble tea lover. But I noticed, especially with Rachel, the interest in online MMOs. Especially what was it, Fantasy or Fantasia Nova Online? Was that a reference to Fantasy Star Online?
Heck yeah, I love I was like the only MMO I ever like really played. I loved it. I had it on the GameCube, and I just loved making characters for it and playing. And I'm like, please release the new ones over here. Like I want to play it again so bad.
I saw that. I was like, maybe.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
You're coming in now. You were out for a bit.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of an issue with my camera on my end. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead. What was your question?
No, go ahead. 1 second. I'm trying to fix it right now because I'm still kind of having a little bit of lag on my end. I apologize.
Fine, but yeah, I was excited when I saw it. Further excited because I was into kind of the interest of the characters. I was. It actually comes back to kind of what we try to reiterate on our end, and what we've come to realize with a lot of other professionals in the industry, where it's a lot more important for these stories to have some originality to them, that their interactions come from personal experiences. And I noticed a lot of these characters, your characters in Love Pon specifically, they had a lot of originality to them. There was a lot of their lingo. I noticed that I was like, yeah, that's kind of unique to over here in Michigan. But I especially when I was seeing some of the online MMO scene, I was like, yeah, that speaks right to home here.
Yeah, I mean, they always say like it's best to write what you know. So I wanted the kids to kind of feel like they went to like a inner city high school. They're gamers. They're into anime and everything. They're normal teenagers doing stuff. Leah loved cute things, and she loved watching magical girl shows and everything. And Rachel, she goes home and she games all night. That's why she always looks exhausted. And then you had Lewis, who is like really sweet, and he worked in a bookstore, and actually he likes to paint and stuff. And yeah, so they all have like their own interests and everything.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
think. Can you guys hear me now?
yeah.
Okay, I can hear. I think I can hear everything. Okay, I still think I'm lagging a little bit on my end, so I apologize. But quickly, I wanted to know who would you collaborate with out of any like creator in the world. So if you had the chance, I mean, we can even include the creator of Sailor Moon in this if you want, But who would you collaborate with if you had the opportunity, or would it be no one?
Oh, okay. Hmm. There. Hmm. Like I have several answers. Okay. So like right off the back, I would love to just say like Jackie, I'm waiting. I still want to collab with you with a Jordan by G. Let's make a collection. But also oh man, I think like man, if I had like my own brand, I would just love to do like some kind of like Care Bear collaboration. I love Care Bears. But like comic wise, oh my gosh, I I don't know. Like I never thought about that before. Um, but I guess it would be cool to do like some kind of Sailor Moon collaboration or something.
Crossover.
Yeah, like a crossover or just, like a cool like Shauna draws Sailor Moon special or something.
That'd be awesome, to be honest with you. To see that. I'm all about like crossovers too. That's why I've mentioned that because it's like, hey, you guys do a crossover. I mean, maybe it wouldn't be ideal to have like people like fight, but maybe like they fight together against someone.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome. I know when it comes to Sailor Moon, like I haven't. Funny enough, I never finished Sailor Moon, but I think about like was it Sailor Moon Crystal, right? I don't know. How do you feel about Sailor Moon Crystal versus like Sailor Moon? Do you like Sailor Moon Crystal? Because I always hear from like some Sailor Moon fans that they weren't really crazy about Crystal, how it was.
Yeah, that's mostly because like the first season, like the first two seasons, the art was just atrocious. It was just a darn shame. Like, how you gonna make my queen look so ugly? But come season 3 and the movies, like they totally rehauled the artwork, so it's really really gorgeous. I really enjoyed watching like their take on Sailor Moon R, or is it R or is it S? Oh dear, I'm slacking a little bit, but the arc that they did, it was really no, it was S definitely. Okay, yeah, it was really good. Like it depends what you want out of Sailor Moon. If you want something that's gonna focus on like the girls' like everyday friendship and stuff, then yeah, watching like the original series will show you, why this has been like part of everybody's just this is 90s anime, like that's quintessential 90s anime right there. But if you just want to experience the story real quick, then watching through Sailor Moon Crystal will give you that, since it follows the manga more closely. And the manga goes like really, really quick. They don't go like they still have like show like the relationships and everything, but since the original anime had like so much filler to it, being that's just how they did anime back then, you get to experience so much more of like who these girls are. But I like Crystal now. I'm really excited for the English release of the new movies that came out in Japan. They look beautiful every time I see the trailers. I'm like, queen.
Have you ever gone to Japan?
No, I have not. The only place I've been to is Canada. I need to get a new passport and travel more when the world is safe again.
Oh my goodness. I think that's all of it. Like everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, it's like a time clock. Like, come on, we're Sailor Moon. Can't Sailor Moon? Well, I don't know if Sailor Moon has the ability to free everybody from COVID. Maybe Leia has the ability to do that with her love. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm being cheesy. I know. People are like, "What the heck, man?" It's like, hey, I have to be a little cheesy sometimes. But we have a few comments. Let's go to it.
Let's see.
I'm still lagging just a little bit, so I apologize if I take a second.
No, yeah, Shea Burger. He was commenting to Jeffrey Lilly that came in. So he's like, "What's up at Lily or Illy
Lily.
family?" Marcel Gray, for my first cosplay in Con YumaCon, I was I don't know how I'm supposed to appropriately pronounce that. I apologize, but I'm assuming IDAs from Adorned, and I freaking loved it.
Oh, so cool.
Waffle House is
Very
double
good
heart.
taste.
The Elite Ace came in. Fantasy Star, another star fan there.
Yes.
Ray Hama. What are the top 5 anime songs you guys like?
Is there enough time?
I don't know if you know yours off the bat.
That OP from Tokyo Ghoul. Or just, sometimes I just play that on repeat.
Wait, which song on Tokyo Ghoul?
The original opening theme song
Yeah.
for Tokyo Ghoul.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I love that song so much. My Will from Inuyasha, the first Inuyasha theme song. Oh,
I tell everybody that song is great. I just love that you said that. I'm sorry, I know I lost it, but because I have some people like, oh, that song's all right. I'm like, no, that was probably the first time I started loving Japanese music when I heard that song.
Yes. Like, oh my God, spending like a half an hour trying to download that 3-minute song and just listening to it for the whole week. Yes. Oh my God, I love it. I love the Cutie Honey theme song. I love Cutie Honey. Let's see. I'm gonna keep going. I like my Sailor Moon, the original theme song, but also I really like
the original, like the
Stars.
Japanese, or like
Yes, well, I mean, yeah, the English one too. That one's fun to sing. But for like the Doki Doki in my heart, I like the Japanese one because it's like, oh, miracle romance. But I like the Sailor Stars theme song also because friendship and the animation for that was so sweet, because there's like the scene where the Sailor Scouts, they're like all falling through the sky, and then you see like hands reaching out to touch each other, and the first hand Sailor Moon, but the first hand to grab hers is Sailor Mars, and that just shows you how much they care about each other, even though they fight so much in the anime. Sailor Mars is going to be there for her girl, and you cannot fuss at her. She's going to fuss at her, but you can't. And I just love it. Sailor Moon, everybody loves, like, I ship her with everyone. I don't care.
Okay.
I hope that was fine.
I guess they were asking all of us. So I don't have the time to like run through my roster like more efficiently, but if just off the back of my head, I could think of Hacking to the Gate from Steins Gate. What was it? Trader's Requiem from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. Unbalanced Kiss from Yu Yu Hakusho. And let's see, Bluebird from Naruto. I think that was a nostalgic classic right there. And I gotta agree with you. My Will from Inuyasha. That hit home. That actually.
And you got to put My Will up in there. I don't care what nobody says. My Will. What's the other one? You know what? I forget the name of it, but the Naruto ending that I just call it Sha La La, where it'd be like Sha La La, na 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 na. It's like I think it happens right after Bluebird. That's my favorite one out of any of the Naruto openings. And then, I like Dead Man Wonderland's opening. That one's pretty nice. It would take too long for me to get to the other two, so I'll revisit that at another point with you guys. But let's move on.
Marcel Gray said, hell yeah, Care Bear. Jay Baker, Typo. Ray Hama, one of mine is from Seven Deadly Sins.
I love that.
Marcel Gray again. Okay, I need you to create a Spotify playlist, ma'am. Please and thank you. Jay Baker saying, what up to Marcel Gray? And Ray Hama, sit down. What you know about JoJo? Hey, man, I don't think you caught up with JoJo as I am, man. What up? He said, Kogi.
No. Actually, no. Ray Hama, thank you, because actually you did actually pick my number one favorite opening. Yep. And this dude knows. It's not so much in sequence as it is in song, and that's Kogiya's Colors.
Yep.
I love that song. Oh my gosh, man. Don't even get me started. Anyway, let's move on.
Jeffrey Lilly showing my age here. The closing songs from Detonator, Oregon OVAs were awesome. Hey man, that is your age, dude.
All right, Ray Hama, yes.
Yep, that's
All
all.
right. Okay. So, in terms of the I would say the designs of the characters, right? Like let's say like for example like the outfits, that sort of thing. Where did you draw inspiration for that aspect of Princess Love Pon? Or did you just basically kind of already have it all figured out in your head?
No, actually, I looked at like a lot of different stuff. But for Princess Love Pon, I really wanted her to feel like a wedding dress Lolita. And honestly, like I'm still like messing around with her dress design. Like I really want to like reboot the series, and it's probably gonna have like a different outfit.
Yeah, I
But
saw like where you posted a redesign you were working on the other day. Actually, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
something that I can be like more consistent with. But because I swear people draw Princess Love Pon like way better than I do, and I'm just like, dang, y'all just took what I did and y'all went with it. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. No, like I'm like honestly, I mean, I feel like it. When you look at like, I don't know if you like when I look at your work though. I mean, it's tight. Like I don't see. I guess what do you mean like people? You seen people who would draw it better? You mean like people who draw it like in a different style, like as like in maybe they draw it more.
They draw it where it's like it looks like a functional dress, I guess. But I've had people cosplay Princess Love Pon, so I guess it can be a functional dress. Thank you so much for showing me that.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. So like, I have to ask you this too. How do you plan on, and you're already doing it, with what you're doing with Scholastic and everything, but I'm still curious, how do you plan on advancing the game even further beyond than what you're doing right now? And what I mean by that is like, and it doesn't have to just be in comics. So even, it could even be if, let's say you plan on expanding that into other mediums, with, creatively.
Yeah, actually, I just had a meeting last week with a animation studio. And so that's my next step is pitching like cartoon shows. So, which is so funny because my family has always been, when are you going to work for Disney? Like, when's your cartoon coming out? And I'm like, do you know how hard animation is? Like, why would you do that to me? Hello and behold, like people are like, hey, like, I really like your art. Like, have you ever thought about animation? Would you want to like pitch a TV show? And I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's something that me and my agent are working on currently. Like it's a little bit on the back burner just because I have so much book work that I have to get through, but I'm definitely like interested in like pitching like Mimi and Penelope out and other ideas. And beyond that, I want to have my brand and maybe get into like making like cool t-shirts and stuff like that, and have my own little side business that's not just purely like drawing comics. And I would like to get more into teaching. Like I've done a little bit of teaching before, and yeah, I'm like, I should try that. So those are some things that I would like to do.
So are you planning on trying to animate or get animated like Princess Love Pon? Is that like the project that you're pushing for that? Or I mean, obviously you may not be able to say, I understand if you can't, but
like Princess Love Pon, well, the studio that I was in touch with isn't like, they love it, but they're like, there's too many princesses, so let's not do that one. And I'm like, I get you. But like other studios,
I call BS on that, or not. Like I'm saying in the sense that I'm like, at the end of the day, representation is extremely important.
Yes.
And in terms of what you're doing. So I mean, I hope that you're not just taking that as like, oh yeah,
no,
whatever. I'm like,
just for them, it wouldn't be a good fit, especially like with the demographics that they, aim at. But other places, yeah, probably, most likely. Like Princess Love Pon is like one of those things where it's like, it's my baby, like I really love it. Like I want to go back and finish it. Like people are like, are you ever going to do this? And I'm like, I want to. Like I got really depressed and I stopped working on it, but also it got me like a lot of jobs. So, I will always like love it for that. Like it really was that stepping stone to hitting the career that I wanted for myself. But I do, want to work on it again. I don't know if it's going to be like something that I pitch to a publisher and be like, hey, like, please pay me to just draw this and people are going to love it. It has fans. Like, you'd be crazy to pass this up, or be like, yo, Netflix, you want to animate this? Or just be like, guys, I'm just going to post this cute Love Pon comic on Webtoons. You can follow it. I'll update it once a month. Like, it's kick-ass. Let's go. I love Webtoons, by the way.
Tell them they got you a glyph, and then they'll no, seriously, it's like, I'm like, hey, let them know, let these people know, like, hey, y'all want to mess around, act like, oh, we're not sure, we already have some princesses. It's like, this got me a glyph. Do you want to know this?
Plenty of Webtoons on there. I'm like, I mean, they're great, they're nice and all, but none of them award winning.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, seriously, like, I think honestly in this case, if that's what you've heard so far, I'm like, those people to me weren't in your corner like they should be. So definitely, I think there's a lot of us that
said, like, as like, oh, we don't like, it's just for their marketing and everything. They just like, we have a lot.
Even with the marketing, that's a problem with how things are, in the sense that I'm like, people think if, like for example, a representation that, that it's not marketable, right? Until it is marketable, until they do see that. Like you think about like Disney, right? Like Black Panther was a huge success, right? So I mean now, I'm sure they don't mind marketing something like that, right? But it's kind of funny that that's how things are sometimes. So I'm not trying to get into that whole tangent, but like, I'm just like, hey, I hope that they, if they're listening to this, that they wake up a little bit because they got a good product in their hands if they actually listen. So.
No, I'm pretty sure something good will become of it. Like, it's been so many years since I even like was able to like last update Princess Love Pon, and people still talk about it. I don't even do anything, and people are still talking about it, and I'm just like, dang, I'm really like I gotta do something for y'all. But thank you, everybody. I'm so happy that people still like enjoy like what I was able to put out. And yeah, gosh, like the story was gonna go place.
So I have to ask, since we're coming toward the end of this stream, and of course you guys can throw in your, if you have any last minute questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the comment section below before we close out. But what is your end game?
My end game for like
just period, like in terms of like when it comes down to your professional career in comics, like how do you see yourself, like you're like, okay, maybe you may never hang it up, maybe you might decide till the end of time or whatever to work on it, but what do you ultimately want to see your career go? Do you want to basically be like, I have a bunch of animated works, or do you want to be like, hey, I have a bunch of books in Scholastic, and I'm teaching in a bunch of different like across the country or whatnot, and teaching and raising artists. You get what I'm trying to say? What exactly?
Really, all I really want to do with my art is just, I keep it simple. I'm like, I just want to make stuff that 12-year-old me would have liked when I was young. And if doing that can bring some happiness to somebody else, then I'm happy. Like I spend probably like way too much time like worried about impressing other people and thinking like what other people, think about me. And, whether it's good or bad, like it can be like overwhelming, like, even like a lot of positive attention. It's just like, oh my God, that imposter syndrome's coming out. Oh boy, let me go hide again. But yeah, so right now I've just been trying to like keep it simple and be like, what would make me happy? It's just making art that I would have really liked when I was little. So if I can just leave behind some books that, a little black girl can read one day and be like, wow, these are like really great. Like they look like me, and they're really cute. And like, wow, I'm really cute too. Then I'd be like really, really happy. I want the world to see that black girls, dark skinned black girls, especially, we are cute and dainty and magical, and everybody has the right to feel beautiful and magical and powerful in their own right. And so that's what I want to do, just make people happy.
That's awesome, because I can agree with that message.
Document
100%.
for your future. When you retire, we'll revisit this. Be like, that woman, she inspired other kids. I'll be a grandpa, and I'll be like, you pay attention to this woman's work. Anyway,
Dude's gonna throw on like the mobster type of voice, when he says that. Oh my goodness. I do want to thank you so much today, Shauna, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. Before we close out, and I think do we have any more comments? It looks like we had a few more that rolled through. I do want to say really quickly also, guys, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you thumb this video up. That helps, every bit helps. And subscribe if you're new to Shining Otaku, of course. So it looks like our comments, let's see here. Ray Hama, may God bless you in your work, Shauna.
Thank you so much.
Marcel Gray, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
happy belated.
All right, happy birthday, or belated birthday. All right, and looks like those are the last comments. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you check out Shauna's work down below, and also with the Mimi and Penelope that's coming out, right? Is there going to be, and this is just something that just popped in my head, like, is there going to be like any kind of like wait list to get the book, or if somebody wants to pick up the book, coming up, like when can they expect exactly to get that?
So the book is still in its early stages. Like I'm doing like another round of edits for the thumbnails. So it's not planned to come out until 2022. So towards then is probably when I'll be able to announce, when you can pre-order the book and everything. So definitely follow my social media. That's where I will, give you the latest updates when I can about my books.
Okay. All right. So we'll have that down below in the description of the video. So you'll make sure you check out her pages. You follow her pages, so of course you can get the latest update when it comes out, of course. And one more time, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate
you for having me.
Thank you. This was the award-winning, Glyph-winning Shauna J. Grant. Thank you guys, all from Shining Otaku. We will see you guys in 2 weeks with our next guest.
Very well. Shining lights. We will catch you all later.